as long as we are afraid of dying, we are afraid of living.
Oh. Ah!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Woo-hoo! We're so delighted to be here with you again. Oh my God, we're going to talk about such a juicy topic today that is still frightening for some. But let me introduce ourselves first. My name is Doris Victoria, and I'm a soul activation coach. And
I am Patricia, and I'm a healing coach.
And together, we are conscious souls.
Yes, we are.
Welcome. Okay, what do we mean by that? We're people that think that there's way more to us than this physical body. And I think this makes a great introduction to our topic today. We believe, why do we call ourselves conscious souls? We believe that the reason that we came back to Earth is consciousness, is to remember who we truly are, so that we can connect with that consciousness and function at a way higher level of love, joy, happiness, peace, manifestation, of course, which is coming along with all of that. Isn't it right, Patricia?
I believe that we are already consciousness, and we decide to come to Earth to spread that consciousness.
Exactly.
For the ones that are still perhaps struggling or in a darker path.
Exactly. And we're doing this by being authentically and unapologetically ourselves, you know, quirky as we are, unique as we are, imperfect as we are, and yet perfect, because we all are a divine expression of Source here on Earth. So let's dive into today's topic. We are going to speak about the fear of dying. So let's start, Patricia. Why do you think this is such a big topic? Why do you think this is coming up again and again and again?
Yeah, it's interesting because it has come up for both of us, right? Recently, I had an event as well where the topic was fear, not necessarily fear of death, but the fear of death was the root of it all, right?
Yeah.
And it was also coming up for you a lot.
Yeah.
So we decided to take on this topic because we think it's quite important. I believe that all fears come from the fear of death. That's the root. And once you heal that fear, once you become no longer afraid of death, you are limitless. Because all the other fears are just gonna vanish. And you are free.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to expand on that even more. So in our last episode, one of our last episodes, we talked about that our biggest fear. When you were asking me, what is our biggest fear? And I said, it's the fear of our own power. So usually the fear of death, I think, has very much to do with that fear of our own power. Because for many people that are choosing to live, let's say, a conditioned life, to never really do the inner work and remember who we truly are and why we're here, and that it's all about love and it's all about service to the world, to all forms of life, not only humankind, but all forms of life, to Earth, to our planet, you know. So I believe that when we die, many of us, and including myself, I know I have had many past lifetimes here on this planet, dying meant to come back into my own power, because that was the moment when I integrated everything that I learned in this lifetime, and I became that limitless, powerful, omnipresent being again that we always are, even while we are incarnated in a physical body that we ourselves have chosen. So yeah, I believe that the fear of death is an illusion in so far that it's maybe the fear of realizing who we truly are, which is limitless power. Because if God is powerful or Source is powerful, we are powerful because we are all children.
Because we are God.
Exactly, because we are all children. We are all expressions, like little, how can I say, little star sparks of life, of that infinite source. Anyway, so this is my take on this topic, is that when we do the inner work, when we are asking ourselves these two questions, and there's more questions to ask yourself, of course, but for me, these two have been the most crucial ones in order to find out is, who am I? You know, beyond my name, beyond my titles, beyond what I do, beyond my gender, beyond my job, beyond anything, who am I? And then why am I here? These were the two questions that have been kind of awakened me to more, to realizing who I truly am. And that what I found out is that we are so much more than we believe we are. We are so amazing, powerful beings. And anything is possible if we believe it is. You know, there's this beautiful saying from Mark Twain, they didn't know that they couldn't, so they went ahead and did. And I believe that this is what pretty much explains our own power. And I believe that Albert Einstein, when he said that we are operating at about 5% of our consciousness level, he was right. And the earth was a place that was conditioned for humankind to be this way. But if we don't buy into that anymore, if we become the change that we want to see here on this planet and in our own lives and in our own being, that's when everything can change. What do you think about that, Patricia?
Yes, you mentioned, who are you beyond Victoria, beyond your role, beyond your profession, let's just say. Mm-hmm. But I would like to rephrase it, because that implies that your core is Victoria and your core is your profession, because you're saying beyond that. It's something more than that. I would say that it's the opposite. You are source, you are light and joy and love first, and then beyond that, you are Victoria and you are a soul activation coach and you are living in France. So I would say first is our identity, which is true love and joy and connection to source and God. And then beyond that, we are all those things you mentioned.
I agree on that. And I came to this experience when I was asking myself exactly that, you know. What you just said, Patricia, is absolutely right. We are source energy, and we chose to be this particular person in this lifetime, which can always change. We can always change ourselves. We can change everything, by the way. So for me, it was exactly that question. Who am I beyond, so that I can remember who I am and who I am not. And who I am not is everything that changes. Victoria changes. Victoria, you know, her appearance changes. Her work changes. Her experiences change. Everything that changes is not who I truly am. And everything that remains is, I believe, who I am. And that is source energy. That is expanding consciousness. And this is why we choose to incarnate and bring our heart to this earth.
I wanted to add something that I saw the other day that really resonated with me, is that this body is just a vehicle. We're literally playing Avatar. These hands, these nails, this chest, this face, this body is a vehicle. This is not who you are. It's just a vehicle that you need in order to function and live on earth. So we incarnate here to do that, but then when we die, we don't realize that we're just changing vehicles. We will just leave this body, and when we choose, we will go into another one, another vehicle. It's like changing cars in a way. If you put it in a very non-sentimental way, it's like getting out of one car, getting into another one. And do you get sad about that? do you get sad that you're leaving one car and going to the other? You don't. You're excited usually because you're usually upgrading. Usually. So it's a very exciting experience actually. And I'm not saying that I'm excited about death yet, but it's kind of bringing me this. I'm starting to be excited for the unknown. And I'm like, what is going to happen? Like, I don't know, but it's super exciting. And I like, my fear of death is really changing into excitement. The more and more I live, and the more and more I start realizing that we are eternal. We never really die. We just change into a different vehicle. We stay the same. Our source is the same, but we just transition. And we always transition in a way that is true to us. And in that way, we're always upgrading. So there is no fear, really. And what you said, the fear of death is also very connected with the fear of our own power. Because if you stop fearing death, you are a dangerous person. Because you are going after what you want, because you don't have the most core fear, which is death, right? So you are willing to die. And by being willing to die, you won't die until you decide to die. You're no longer afraid. So, and that is threatening for society. That is threatening for other people because you are unstoppable. Nothing can control you, right? Not even the fear of dying, which is the only thing really that controls us.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that a little more, if I may. When you said that...
You may.
Because it will help us all to transcend this fear of dying even more. So not only is the fear of dying an illusion. It's when we don't really understand who we are, when we believe that we are only a physical body, and we see that this physical body is... at one point, it is no longer animated by breath, by energy that is flowing through it. So we call then this body dead because it's no longer alive, and then it's decaying, and it's... Anyway, so most of us are afraid of the pain, maybe, the age, and the diseases that society wants us to believe come with age. But this is something I want to include on this topic today, and I think it's so important. When you said, yes, Patricia, that our physical body is a vehicle that we need in order to do our experiences here on Earth, I would even say that our physical body is a vehicle that we choose to bring all of ourselves on this planet while we are here, meaning all of our love, all of our joy, all of our inspirations, all of our ideas. And this is what we also call purpose. When we are authentically ourselves and we are showing the world who we truly are through our ideas, through speaking our truth in a kind manner, of course, but giving feedback that maybe might leave some people really thinking or not liking us. When you speak your truth, you're not always liked. This is why I held my truth back for most of my life, because I so desperately wanted to be loved, So I believe that we even choose this vehicle in order to be unapologetically, authentically, and sovereign ourselves. And when we are then living our purpose. We are right on purpose by being ourselves. Whatever it is that brings you joy, if you like painting, if you like playing music, bring it out to the world, share it with others. There's 8 billion people on this planet. There's at least 1 or 2 or even 1 million that love what you're doing. We can see that all over. Somebody is having an idea and suddenly this person has like 1 million followers. So I believe that when we are living authentically our purpose by being who we truly are, our vehicle will not age. And we won't get diseases, because a dis-ease by definition is where energy is not freely flowing through our body. It's a dis/ease. You know, there's parts in our body where we're not at ease. And this is why yoga is so beautiful, Qigong is so beautiful, walks in nature, exercise is so crucial for keeping us healthy and alive. But our purpose will keep us moving through our life. And when we live our purpose and when we are talking to people and we are being ourselves and we are giving what we believe, we are giving our opinion freely to others, always in a kind and respectful manner. That's when we bring our art into the world. We'll share it with others. We're not holding back who we are. I believe that then this physical body, this physical vehicle that we have chosen will be, or it is designed to be, a forever functioning vehicle. Because this is why Albert Einstein said we are operating at 5% of our consciousness. But if we are no longer operating at 5%, but let's say like the Pleiadian family, for example, they are operating at 88% of source energy potential. When we are enhancing our potential of our operational level, I believe that we don't even no longer have to die, but we are becoming powerful enough, or not that we are becoming powerful, but we are using consciously this power that is inherently within us to heal ourselves, to renew our bodies, to rejuvenate ourselves, so that even age is an illusion.
Yeah, I wanted to add something because you mentioned that being in a 88% you wouldn't even age, or maybe you would even like reverse age. I would totally believe in that as well. And the diseases that society made us believe that come with aging are because we're not in flow. So basically, we age and we have diseases because we are in resistance towards being our true self. Because when we are our true self, we are coherent, we are connected, and those types of energies, that frequency does not allow any disease or aging to be in our body. And I saw this movie yesterday, actually, that I have watched a long time ago. This movie, I think, is from 2013, or even older. I don't remember. It's called Lucy. Have you heard about it, Victoria?
It's the name says the same. The name says something to me.
It's with Scarlett Johansson. I remember back in the day, the movie was quite impressive. But I started getting these shorts on Instagram or somewhere else, and I was like, it's time to see it again. I rented the movie actually, and I saw it yesterday. The movie is about this lady, Scarlett Johansson, Lucy, and she's in a very sketchy situation. She ends up having her belly's opened up. They put a package of drugs in her for her to go to Europe. This was all without her consent, obviously. She goes to Europe to sell them. But unfortunately, it happens that some of the packages open up and these drugs enter her body. And these drugs were a type of drug that we actually produce ourselves in our body. This gang of people created this drug synthetically to get the same results without having to activate it within yourself. It's something that we have within us. So this got inside her body and started spreading and everything. And she started to access more and more of her brain power. So in the beginning of the movie, she was like at less than 10%. I don't remember how much was it, but less than 10%. And then as the movie continues, she begins to observe more and more of this drug. And she starts to, see literally the energy flowing on the trees, to see the roots, to see everything flowing with her own eyes. She starts to see the connections on mobile phones, connecting, like lines connecting everywhere. She starts to hear people's thoughts and to feel their feelings. When she hugs someone, she starts she can see their diseases. She can feel how they're feeling. She can connect to TVs and phones all over the world. She can, do all those amazing things. And when this drug entered her body, the first thing that happened was that her eyes shifted from human eyes to cat eyes to all species eyes. So that was amazing because it shows that she was all and none of the same at the same time. She was everything at the same time. And when she reached at the end 100% of her brain capacity, she dissolved it. She was no longer human. She was consciousness everywhere, and it was amazing because she was with a policeman at the time. They were working together, and when she disappeared, he was like, "Where is she?" And he got a text, and it said, "I am everywhere." So, and this is to say that although in this movie they explain this through a drug, because it wouldn't even be probably broadcasted, this movie, if it were actually telling the truth that we could do this ourselves within us, we don't need drugs. But the truth is in this movie, and they just had to be, kind of hidden and use these drugs metaphors so that it could be broadcasted. But it's true. This movie was all truth, and I couldn't even sleep afterwards. I was like,
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me that I have a dear friend in America. He lives in Arizona, and sometimes he is doing magical mushrooms for therapeutic reasons. I mean that there's, I was at the psychedelic psychology summit the other day when New York psychologists talked about the help of magic mushrooms, and they were calling it a drug, but I know that mushrooms have quite an extensive impact on our consciousness as well. And this is why Native Americans were already using this in a very thoughtful quantity, of course, not as a drug, but to enhance consciousness. And it reminds me that my friend in Arizona, when he did this, he sent me a picture of his eye that was no longer a human eye, it was a dragon's eye. So it wasn't, what you're telling me is a movie, but this is actually, I believe it's really happening, and it's all about consciousness. What's going on, Patricia?
Because we talked about this, that all the movies out there, all the stories that exist, they're truth, because all the information that we get, all the dreams all the ideas we get, they're not necessarily ours. They're consciousness, their source, and we just access information that already exists, and it comes to us through ideas or dreams. So all these movies, sci-fi movies and fantasies that we think are not real, they're all reality. And if you start seeing from that perspective, there's no limits at all.
Exactly. And this is why I would always say, I just want to mention this. Whenever I watched movies, when they were touching something deep within me, I knew there is a truth in them. And that's when I started asking and inquiring about this truth. I wanted to know more about it. And as soon as we command to know more about something, the universe will bring information to us through magical ways. You know how that works, right? There's another movie that I remember now that you talked about Lucy. Have you seen the movie Arrival, Patricia? We talked about this as well.
With the aliens, right?
Exactly. When she gets in touch with the energy of the extraterrestrials, of these heptapods that are coming to Earth, then she is going in without the kind of astronaut things, this kind of like protective suit that she needed to wear. She's going in by herself because something is rising, her consciousness is rising. There is no longer a separation. And the more she gets to talk to them and to interact with these heptapods, the more she becomes. So there is because time, the way we know it here on Earth, is also just an illusion. There is only the present. We perceive the past as a past and the future as the future because our conditioning is very much about linear time. Everything is linear. First you're a baby, then you go to kindergarten, then you go to school, then you go to college, then you make your degree, then you get a job, then you get a family. This is all very linear, But the truth is that there is no linear time. Everything happens simultaneously. And so when we become conscious, we very much become clairvoyant as well. And we can foresee things in the future. In fact, I remember that I had dreams often as a child that, I don't know, a couple of weeks, sometimes months, sometimes a year later, they were really happening. And I was like, wait a moment, I have been in this situation already. Oh, I remember. It was a dream, either a daydream or a dream at night. So we are all, multidimensional beings. So this is another beautiful movie, Arrival, for those of us of our audience who haven't seen the movie. Go ahead and watch it. It's really amazing. So yeah, I believe that there are some very conscious beings there, movie makers, that are trying to bring consciousness through movies that they call science fiction, but in the end, they're very much the truth.
What you said about the past and the past and the future. When you are thinking about the past, where are you, Victoria?
When I'm thinking about the past, I'm not in the present moment. I'm in the past.
No, when you're thinking about the past, you're in the present. You're thinking about it, but you're in the present moment thinking about the past. When you're thinking about the future, you're in the present moment, but thinking about the future. So the past and the future, they only exist in our heads.
They're here right now. Mm-hmm.
And there's also this other metaphor that it's like, okay, like you're sitting here and you look down and there's a cookie and there's some ants. And for you, the cookie and the ants, they exist at the same time. Because you can see both at the same time. But for the ants, they need to walk to the cookie for it to exist for them. So, for example, here I'm seeing someone and I'm seeing their dream. And for me, they exist at the same time. For me, they are already one. They are already connected. But for this person, because they're in a different perspective, they still need to walk to get to the dream. Mm-hmm. So they don't think it's already within them, but it is. It's just a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm. So where does that leave us with our theme for today? Everything that we talked about now, where does it leave us with the fear of death? What would you say? We have already shown that it's an illusion, that we can reverse it. I want to add something very important here, is that as long as we are afraid of dying, we are afraid of living.
Oh. Ah! Yes.
We should have,
oh my God,
actually,
yes.
Maybe we should have another episode about this, because this is going into a completely new exploration.
Wow. You said it.
We touched a little bit upon it, as long as we are afraid of living, we are afraid of dying. When we are afraid of living, we are afraid of bringing our own self, our authentical, unapologetically beautiful, powerful, quirky, creative, inspirational self to the earth. When we are not doing this, when we are playing a character, and we know that there's something within us that wants to come forth, that wants to live, that wants to spread wings and fly. Let's say I've had that many of my clients have been moms, and they have identified their lives being a mom, and they were amazing moms, but they always knew that they were so much more than a mom. There was a creative force within them, and one of them started painting, for example. Her paintings are amazing. I even bought some of her paintings because they were so beautiful. So this is what I mean, we are not here to play the traditional path that is kind of like given to humanity by a non-functioning society. We are here to be who we truly are. And this is why it's so important to let go of what we are not, to unlearn what we are not, so that we know what we are, that we can remember who we are and what we are, and then live that, fully and authentically, owning our choices. And that's when we become sovereign. That's when we will no longer be slaves in a digital prison, in a way,
Mm-hmm. But this is why this is not common knowledge.
Yeah.
Because if this was common knowledge, society would cease to exist. There would be no society. We wouldn't need phones. We wouldn't need society because we would communicate telepathically. We would, like, we can communicate like that, but we are shown that we need phones, we need all this that have the side effects of like all this radiation, right? So, and our own, telepathy, our own communication, inner communication skills, they don't have side effects. Nature doesn't have any side effects.
Exactly.
All the cures to diseases and to everything is either within us or within nature, and we are nature, so it's still within us. So, but society doesn't want us to know that because nature is free. Our own healing ourselves is free. They wouldn't profit out of that. So this is why this information about, this is why they want us to be so scared of death, because it's the only way to, because if they cannot control us if we're in love. They can only control us if we're in fear, right? Correct. So if they teach us to be in love, there's nothing to control. We're just going to be free beings. Yeah. And what's the profit in that?
You know what you said, Patricia, this is the world I remember. This is the world where I believe I'm from, where we are communicating. There is no society anymore. We have transcended social structures because we no longer need social structures. We are beings that are omnipresent. We are everywhere. At the same time, we're connected to everyone and every part of life. We are enhancing life for ourselves and others because this is how we vibrate, When you go out, you don't hear noise anymore. You hear music. You hear the music of the planets. You hear the music of the sun, of the earth, of the Schumann or our planets. Here we're on Earth, but, sometimes, we can astral travel to other planets, and there is amazing people out there, very conscious, beautiful souls, and I'm so grateful that they are here, that have done symphonies about certain planets or about oceans or about, anything that is amazing because it's part of life. And when you hear the energy of the vibration of that amazing part of life, you hear music. And so I remember this is why I love when it's completely quiet around me, when I can hear the music of the planets, my own music, the music of the plants. What you said about this, when she saw that the tree, when Lucy realized that the tree was energy, the tree was conscious, even trees speak in a very gentle way, and I hear them when I embrace them or when I walk by, I hear them. And there is another thing that I want to say here is that trees are connected and they're information transmitters. It reminds me of somebody that I followed for a while, Matthias De Stefano, this amazing young man who was talking about, he was finding himself in danger at one of his kind of initiation travels. And he was hugging a tree because he was aware that the tree was consciousness. He was hugging that tree and he was telling the tree, okay, bring help, I need help. And the tree, because trees are connected through their roots, worldwide, trees are, they're information transmitters. And so the help came right away. He couldn't believe it. He could believe it because he was conscious about it. But when I heard about it, I was like, yes, that seems right to me. That seems the truth to me, And I want to add here that trees do not need to be trimmed. There are still people out there thinking that trees will be healthier when they are trimmed. No, a tree is as sacred as you are. So all life is sacred. And when we are transcending this fear of death, we are transcending not only the fear of life, but we are allowing ourselves to freely living as the ones that we truly are.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I think that's a great way to end our episode today, Victoria.
Okay. Well, thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. It was such an amazing conversation with you, Patricia. I love what is coming out in our podcast and what we are sharing. And we're looking forward to see you in next week's episode. Mwah.
Yes.
Bye for now.